Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namami Haridasam Tam Chaitanyam Tam Chatat Prabhum Samstitam Api Yanmurtim Swanke Kritva Nanartaya. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Haridas Thakura and his master Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who, can you scroll up? Who danced with the body of Haridas Thakura on his lap. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Dayamaya Jaya Dvaita Priya Jaya Dvaita Priya Nityananda Priya Jaya. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is very merciful and who is very dear to Advaita Acharya, and Lord Nityananda. Jaya Srinivaseshwara Haridasa Natha Jaya Gadadhara Priya Swarupa Prananatha. All glories to the master of Srinivas Thakura, all glories to master of Haridas Thakura, all glories to the dear master of Gadadhara Pandita, all glories to the master of the life of Swarupa Damodara. Can you move ahead a little further, please? Meeting of Lord Chaitanya with Haridas Thakur. I thought you kept it ready. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Govinda kahe uta asi korah bhojana Haridasa kahe aji karimu langhana. Please rise and take your Mahaprasadam, Govinda said. Haridas Thakur replied, today I shall observe. Can you scroll up, please? Today I shall observe fasting. I don't think this is going to work if you... anyway, I'll go ahead. So thank you. Beautiful, wonderful conversation goes on here between Haridas Thakur and Govinda, and then Haridas Thakur and Lord Chaitanya. I thought I'll just read that a little bit today, because today we discussed the passing away of Haridas Thakur and lessons we can learn from that. So, as you know, to introduce Haridas Thakur, I don't need to, all of you must have heard a lot about it. But just to say that Haridas Thakur is Brahma himself. And here in one of these verses, Prabhupada says that Lord Chaitanya is hinting that you are an incarnation of Brahma. And Haridas Thakur is Brahma himself. And the story goes very deeply that after the Brahma Vimohana Lila, although he made a mistake, and the mistake was supposed to be under the known Lord, the Lord's internal energy. However, Brahma felt very much, and he tried many times to actually do something more than just his prayers of repentance. And Brahma remained dissatisfied that I have not done enough for what offense I've committed against the Lord in the Brahma Vimohana Lila. Then it is mentioned subsequently that he came to Mayapur in Antardvip, and he performed a lot of austerities because he had heard of Lord Chaitanya, that Krishna will be coming as Lord Chaitanya in Kali Yuga, and he can get his mercy better than he can get the mercy of Krishna. So he came to Antardvipa and did very deep penance and austerities, praying for Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya appeared in his beautiful form and gave him darshan in advance. It's like, one thing is to fast forward, the other thing is to rewind. He sort of went back in his pastimes, and he was able to get the wonderful darshan of the Lord. And the Lord said that you will appear with me when I am coming in this world as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And at that time, you'll have ample opportunity to adjust everything that you like to so much. And in this way, Lord Chaitanya had a very intimate connection with Haridas Thakur. It's one of the most sweetest of connections and the most sweetest of pastimes. So wonderful, filled with love, filled with a very mature understanding, very high-class conversation. So I thought that will be very important for us to know that. So here Haridas Thakur is, it seems, not well. So Govinda comes here and gives prasadam. And the response of Haridas Thakur is very amazing. He explains that I am actually fasting today, but you have brought Mahaprasadam in front of me. What can I do? And so he immediately pays obeisances to the prasadam and then takes a very small bit of it and honors it. That's it. He didn't eat it. He didn't eat it. And then he said, because he could see that the way he was honoring the prasadam and the way he was conducting himself before the prasadam was something very sophisticated. And the next day, of course, nothing he could say, Govinda couldn't say anything much. Obviously, he went back and reported to Lord Chaitanya, this is what it is. And the next day, Lord Chaitanya appeared. And then he asked Haridas, are you okay? Are you well? And then Haridas Thakur replied, my body is okay, but my mind and my intelligence are sick. It's very amazing. What is the disease? When Lord Chaitanya asked, he said, I'm not able to complete my rounds. That is the disease. And immediately Lord Chaitanya responded and said, now that you're old, you don't have to worry about chanting the fixed number of 3 lakh times names a day and all that. You can just, chant the minimum that you can, because you're already liberated. You don't have to follow these regulative principles. You can understand. I wish I was able to hear something like this from my authorities and I don't have to chant Hare Krishna. Wow. This is exactly what we are all wanting to hear. ठीक है, सब कुछ ठीक है, तुम तो liberate हो गए हो. Yeah, you just relax. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm waiting to hear that. But that's not the response Haridas Thakur gave. Haridas Thakur remained very, very fixed. I have a disease. It's not correct not to chant the prescribed number of rounds every day. In other words, I have termed it like one thing is disease, the other thing is a chronic disease, the other thing is a sickness, other thing is an epidemic. If you do this, like if you don't chant your rounds and you're so busy or you're that, you're this, I thought it's necessary for me to expand this a little bit as a good lesson that we can learn from this chapter. If you don't chant your rounds and it is lying around vacant without being attended to, then you know that you're prioritized on some other things rather than chanting of the holy name. You get me? Right? So you're prioritized on some other things. And here Lord Chaitanya, Haridas Thakur is saying that I have a disease. And he's explaining to Lord Chaitanya that the disease is, I have not completed chanting my rounds. Now, that disease can become a chronic disease. That regularly you don't chant your rounds properly and you accumulate it. There are guys like this. There are devotees like this. Yeah. Chronic disease. And that chronic disease becomes a permanent sort of a sickness. You not only don't chant your rounds, you also cannot come for Mangalarati and you keep away from devotees a little bit. You feel guilty. You feel I am not good enough. So you don't come for the gatherings and you stay away a little bit. Then you got a real sickness. And then watching you do it, the people around you whom you talk to also, they will also do it. Now you have created an epidemic. So I won't talk to you about the pandemic. That I leave it to your imagination. It all starts with you not finishing your rounds. When Prabhupada was asked this in a conversation, sometimes Prabhupada, I am not able to finish my rounds because there are too many things to do, services and all that. When Prabhupada gave a tough look to him, it's just 16 rounds, he said. Then, but this happened, that happened. Then you must chant it the next day. That's the first thing you must do, and finish it the next day, your pending rounds. And then he went ahead and said, Prabhupada, what we are not able to do it even the next day. Then Prabhupada, then he's an animal. Don't talk to me about him. He said, he just immediately said, then he's an animal. Don't talk to me about him. That you cannot keep up even this vow. I give you a concession, okay, do it the next day. Then you ask, what if it doesn't the next day? Then I don't have to talk about that person anymore. He's not in my range of counsel and advice. He's an animal. Very strong words used. Very strong words used. So, I just wanted to say that Haridas Thakur is obviously a very exalted person. He is teaching everybody. That's why he is Namacharya. Prabhupada calls him the dean of the faculty of the department of the chanting of the holy name. He gives him a title, the dean of the faculty of the department of the chanting of the holy name. And the dean is saying, I got sickness. Why? I'm not able to chant japa properly. Right? So we should make sure that we don't become diseased, we don't become chronically sick, we don't become fully sick, and we don't create an epidemic. And like I told you, I leave pandemic to your imagination. Very important for us to know, the first business first, first things first, like they say. You should chant your rounds first. And you should give the best time of the day for it, the morning time. When your mind is very clear and you're fresh after taking rest. If you can give that, that is best. I know all of you are congregational devotees, you have families to look after. Why, Maharaj, you're telling us these type of things? You're a sannyasi, you're free to do what you want. Do you know what all responsibilities I have? I have 3 children. I have, my grandmother to look after, my this thing, and my business to look after. I have to go to work, I have to everything. I know. I can also give you, as an ISKCON leader, what all I have to do from the morning onwards. It may be quite similar and you'll be surprised. Really? Even sannyasi like this? Boy, no fun in joining ISKCON, you may think. So I'm not telling you that. But we all have things. But we somehow have to prioritize it. That's one lesson we can learn very much from here. So Lord Chaitanya, he asked Haridas Thakur, so you have, in this incarnation of yours, you have sufficiently preached the holy name and you have done what is necessary. So you can relax a bit. Again, he said, this is what we're expecting to do. In this life of yours, you have done enough service, Maharaj. You have already become a sannyasi. So it doesn't matter if you don't chant a few rounds. I'll be so happy to hear that. Exactly, again, I'm repeating it. But Haridas Thakur, he, of course, Prabhupada is saying in this purport that Krishna, there's a hint given by Lord Chaitanya that in this incarnation means you had a previous incarnation and you are Brahma and you have, done the needful. But immediately what Haridas Thakur says, Lord Chaitanya starts glorifying him. You have done so much, you have preached, you're, Namacharya, you're perfect, your Achar and Prachar is like this, everything. Instantly, Haridas Thakur bends around and holds the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and said, please, I know I am born in a lowest of the low-class family. In a Muslim family, they eat cows. What to speak of worshipping them? And I am the most horrible, lowly person. But you have shown me mercy. You have raised me to a higher level. Instantly he did that. And why? Every time Haridas Thakur is praised, you will see throughout the Chaitanya Charitamrita, instantly he will say these things out of humility. In other words, he does this affirmation, not allowing the praise to get inside him. I find it's a very interesting thing. A defense to the praise. As soon as I praise you, I defend myself. I don't allow the praise to enter me. And I immediately counteracted by saying, I am the lowest of the low. I am this thing, I am that thing, everything he says and holds on to, please. This is an amazing thing. And we cannot say and think that this even I can do. It's very nice to do. Prabhu, I can fall on their feet and do my whole act. But Haridas Thakur is feeling it. He is living it. From every pore of the body, he is feeling what he is saying. That's very important for us to know. That's what pleases Lord Chaitanya very much. And you'll see subsequently what all service Lord Chaitanya will do to Haridas Thakur. Why? Because he is genuine. Same thing Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, when they met Lord Chaitanya and Ramkeli, they had this straw in their teeth and they crawled on the floor and touched the feet of Lord Chaitanya. And they were telling, we are Puri Shivira Vidbhujam. They say that we are lower than worms in stool. And they said so many things about themselves. People think we are great. We know who we are. And you know also. And they were so humble. Aji hoite dunhara naam rupa sanatana dhainya chada tumare dhainya fate moramana. Very beautifully Lord Chaitanya responded and said, okay. Here onwards your name is Rupa and Sanatana. Instant initiation they got. They got instant initiation. No interview, no test to write, no waiting for 4 years, 5 years. Kuch nahi. Ekdam, when they saw the first time, Aji hoche dunhara naam Rupa Sanatana. Hereafter your name is Rupa and Sanatana. Dhainya chada tumi. Give up your humility. Your humility is breaking my heart. Why? Because it's so genuine. Haridas Thakur's humility is so genuine. It's coming from devotion. It's coming for love, from love of Lord Chaitanya. So humility is not something that we can cultivate. It's not part of a skill development program that ISKCON can host and said, you can develop skills for devotion, humility, pridelessness, amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam, acharyo, pasanam, chaiva. All that is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Skill development program we can't put in it. You can't develop the skill humility. Humility is based on your devotion. Humility comes when you actually realize you're an insignificant nobody. And humility comes when Krishna is attending to me. I am an insignificant nobody. And Krishna, who is everything, aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajate mam bhuda bhava samandita. He is so great. Matta parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. That person is coming down to such a low level and attending to me, an insignificant servant. That creates emotion. That's why Lord Chaitanya, Haridas Thakur is holding on to the feet of Lord Chaitanya. Don't. And Lord Chaitanya responds wonderfully, right? So this humility is genuine. And Lord Chaitanya sees that, hears it. Normally, we all try hard to be humble. And we can see it, it's not working very well. The pride is not something that will go away so easily for the conditioned soul. He has to really work. He has to go to the gym, the spiritual gym, and he has to do a lot of bitex and lot of push-ups and pumps, and he has to do many things in the spiritual realm, deep inside, in order to come to the point of genuine humility. Mostly, pride is there inside, plus externally we are trying to be humble also. A combination of that, I call it, humble pride. Humbly proud. That's what comes out finally. It's a mix of everything together. So we should actually think about this deeply. Lord Chaitanya's response to Haridas Thakur and Haridas Thakur's, humility. Because you see the conversation, it started itself. Haridas Thakur, are you well? My body is okay, but my mind and intelligence is not well. What is the disease? I can't complete my rounds. Look at the conversation between great people. If I am asked, are you well? Yeah, I'm fine. What's news is what Lord Chaitanya asks, what's news the next day? He asks him, what's news? And then he says, whatever mercy you can bestow on me. That's what he answers. Very sophisticated conversation. If I am asked, what's news? Well, things are going fine. My daughter actually passed stool and I changed the diaper just now. And then, Taliban has affected Afghan and the government is taken away. Lots of news around. A lot of mundane stuff is what we will say if you're asked, what's news? Look at, the response of Haridas Thakur. Whatever mercy you can bestow upon me, that will be the greatest news for me. What else can I say is news? Your mercy is the news. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is really news. That's what Chaitanya Charitamrita says. If at all you've got brain intelligence, if you want to deliberate on anything, then deliberate on Chaitanya Kripa. Yaha hoite Krishna lage sudrida manasa. That if you want to examine the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, you do it and you'll be wondrously, thunderously struck. And Haridas Thakur is reflecting that here. He's saying that your mercy is news. That's the type of conversation he has. So this conversation with Haridas Thakur of Lord Chaitanya is wonderful because something great is going to take place. Haridas Thakur is going to pass away. And Lord Chaitanya knows that. Haridas Thakur is inside desired and decided that I'll go. Because he's very old. When Lord Chaitanya appeared in this world, already many pastimes had already happened. He was 55 years old when Lord Chaitanya appeared in this world. Haridas Thakur was 55 years old when Lord Chaitanya appeared. And after that, Lord Chaitanya reminded him and showed him his back and whip lashes and everything he showed him and said, when you were whipped in the 22 marketplaces, you didn't feel any pain because I took it on myself. It's one of my most interesting pastimes because when Haridas Thakur was whipped in all the 22 marketplaces and the Qazi was a very envious man and the Nawab, who is the king, could not help siding with the Qazi, although he had a feeling of this man is a saint towards Haridas Thakur. But he couldn't evince that, he couldn't actually practically do anything about it. And the Qazi, ordered that he should be whipped for having lost the Muslim faith and he should die being whipped. And that whole scene, I don't want to discuss to you, a very poignant, amazing, moving scene when he's whipped in 22 marketplaces, doesn't die. And then the guards tell him, if you don't die, we will actually be put to test by the Qazi and Nawab, you're supposed to die. And then he says, okay, don't worry, to help you out, I can do that as a service. And he goes into a trance. And before that, so many people fall down at the feet of the guards and beg, please don't beat up the saintly man. Please, I'll give you money if you want to stop beating. Please, if you want, you beat me up. So many people come and request in the 22 marketplaces. Watching him getting beaten up was so horrible. So horrible, nobody could take it. Even ordinary people could take it. It's mentioned even Muslims went and told the guard, why don't you leave this guy alone? He's a nice man. Even the Muslims went up and told the guards. So nice a personality, such a gentleman. And then he went into a trance and then they threw him in the river, the Ganga, because they thought that is the best way to punish a Hindus, to throw him in the Ganga, not to bury him. If you bury him, he will become a martyr. He'll become a great person. Some funny logic they had, Muslims, and they threw him in the Ganga. And he got out of the Ganga and started walking again, chanting Hare Krishna. And they came to know that he's a great saint. And the Nawab personally met him again, and he had no feelings against the Nawab, no feelings against the Qazi. His heart was always clean and pure with no feeling of hatred against anybody. That is Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur here is telling the Lord that, you are the person who made me fortunate. And everything is as per you. You must actually, I have a request. You must please grant that request to me. I want to leave my body because I don't want to watch you leaving this world. And when I do so, I want to be able to hold your lotus feet to my chest and watch your beautiful face, your lotus face. And I want to chant your names and leave my body. You see, the immediate response of Lord Chaitanya was, he said, my dear Haridas, Krishna is so merciful that he must execute whatever you want. In other words, he's actually saying, definitely I'll do what you want. Because he's that same Krishna. But he's putting it in such a nice way. Krishna is so merciful that he must do what you want. Because you're so qualified a devotee, so wonderfully you have carried out my order. I have come to this world to actually institute the dharma of the age, chanting of the holy name. And you have so wonderfully been the dean, the namacharya. And you have helped me so wonderfully. I am obliged to you. Whatever you want, I shall serve you that way. This is the statement actually. And Lord Chaitanya, is saying, I will do it. Is that what you want? I got a chance to satisfy you. I got a chance to repay you. I got a chance to serve you. Even Lord Chaitanya thinks like that towards his devotees. That's the same reason why Krishna is sitting as a charioteer of Arjuna. He's getting an opportunity to serve Arjuna as a charioteer. And that is what brings tears to that person reading the Bhagavad Gita in Srirangam. And Lord Chaitanya goes and embraces him. Because he's saying, just seeing the Lord sitting there and becoming the charioteer of Arjuna, my Lord, who he is and he's become a charioteer. That brings tears to my eyes. And Lord Chaitanya said, you don't have to read the Bhagavad Gita, you already understood. You already understood. You appreciate the mercy of the Lord. You appreciate his heart, how soft Krishna is. That's the statement. Krishna is waiting to relate with you, waiting to reciprocate your love. Prabhupada uses the word, Krishna is hungry for your love. What a statement. So Lord Chaitanya is very happy to reciprocate. Lord Chaitanya says, whatever happiness is mine is due to your association, my dear Haridas. How I can refuse anything. This is what I mean by great class conversation. Conversations of people who are on a very high plane of devotion. So Haridas Thakur replies, don't try to create an illusion to me. I am just a very insignificant, small person. What does it matter if an ant dies to the whole world? Is there any significance? I am going to pass away. It is not at all significant. But Lord Chaitanya is determined, I am going to make it the big festival I'm going to make out of it. You don't know. You will not know. Right? You think that you are just an ant. Maybe that's the reason why I want you to be projected as the greatest of devotees ever. That is Lord Chaitanya's determination. You see? Prabhupada explains that the Lord and the devotee get into a competition to glorify each other. Little does the devotee know how the Lord is planning, and he can never defeat Lord in glorifying because the Lord is a Shaktiman, Sarva Shaktiman. He can use all his Shakti and glorify. And then you will see the next day, Lord Chaitanya will come and he will have this conversation with him of what's news, etc. And then immediately he'll tell everybody, he brought a whole lot of them. He said, start Kirtan. He will start Kirtan and then he will start glorifying Haridas Thakur. The Chaitanya Charitamrita says that he glorified Haridas Thakur as though he had 5 mouths, 5 faces he had. Like Panchamukha, Lord Chaitanya. And he was with all the mouths speaking the glories of Haridas Thakur. Imagine. He glorified him. And then he went to Haridas Thakur and they were doing huge kirtan around. And Haridas Thakur was, towards the last portion of his life. And he lent his lotus feet to Haridas Thakur. Can you believe that? He just stretched his feet right up to Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur takes it and keeps it on his chest. This is what I want. And then he looks into the beautiful face of Lord Chaitanya. Ajanulambita bhujau kanakavadato sankirtanaika nipunau kamalayataksho vishwambharo dvijavaro yugadharma palo. Beautiful description. That is Kamalayataksho. His eyes, actually, it seems stretch up to his ears almost. The corner is completely eyes. So huge and so beautiful. Kamalayataksho. He looked into that beautiful face of Lord Chaitanya and he started chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And he left his body right in front of Lord Chaitanya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, watching him and his lotus feet being held by Haridas Thakur on his chest. What a wonderful way to pass away. And he wanted that. And Lord Chaitanya granted that and came and did that service to him. So there in Chaitanya Charitamrita is very similar to Bhishma. Bhishma passing away and Krishna standing there and watching him instructing the Pandavas, because that is the last service he wanted Bhishma to do. And he instructed the Pandavas, and then he'll tell the Pandavas, this same Supreme Lord who is standing here, waiting on me, so that I can absorb myself on him. Copper-colored eyes like the rising sun, the beautiful face. And he's looking at Krishna and saying all these things to the Pandavas. And Krishna has got a slight smile. And he is accepting everything. And Bhishma passes away looking at the beautiful face of the Lord. But actually Bhishma, it's mentioned externally, was waiting for Uttarayana. He was not waiting for any Uttarayana. Uttarayana is Krishna. When Krishna has come, why he will wait for Uttarayana and Dakshinayana and all that? That's not the reason. The reason is, devotees know, the Bhagavatam's explanation says, not Uttarayana, Dakshinayana. Krishna is the Uttarayana. He is the one who is risen like the sun and he has come there. And similarly here, Haridas Thakur is even beautiful because he gets to see Lord Chaitanya face to face and offer and see him and he passes away. Then Lord Chaitanya takes over. He lifts Haridas Thakur on his hands, the body of Haridas Thakur, and he leaps and dances in the Harinam Sankirtan. That is the best part of it. It must be the greatest of Harinam Sankirtans ever done by Lord Chaitanya. In what he did in front of the Ratha also would have been not so great. He split himself into 7 and he was dancing and chanting, and from his eyes, water was coming like pipes of water coming out. But here, he held the body of Haridas Thakur and he was in great ecstasy. He was speaking about Haridas Thakur. He was loudly chanting the holy name and he was leaping along with him and dancing, holding Haridas Thakur's body. How wonderful it would have been to witness that, huh? And all of them were doing kirtan and watching Haridas, walking Lord Chaitanya, dancing like this. Everybody went into waves of ecstasy. They were loudly chanting. This is what I would have come there and done physically in Gachibowli along with you. My legs are already dancing. Wow, in the lockdown period, I'm not able to do that. My legs are tied, my hands are tied. I'm not able to visit anywhere. But such a wonderful event it would have been. We could have all done kirtan together, and that would be the best way for the Bhagavatam class to start and end. But Lord Chaitanya, overwhelmed in ecstatic love, he danced and chanted. And then finally, Swarup Damodar reminded him, excuse me, some rites have to be done. You are losing yourself in kirtan. He is the only one who had dared say this to Lord Chaitanya. So he said, we have to do all the rites. So Lord Chaitanya took him to the sea and personally bathed him in the water of the sea. Personally bathed him with water, washed his feet. And everybody drank the Charanamrit and spread it on everybody else. Huge kirtan was going on. And from that day, Lord Chaitanya declared the sea is a holy tirtha, has become a holy tirtha, because it contains the Charanamritam of Haridas Thakur. Shri Jagannath Puri ki, wonderful sea. It's Charanamritam of Haridas Thakur. Can you imagine when you take a dip in that? Everybody drank the water, and then he was taken and a hole was dug there, a big place. Lord Chaitanya, the devotees person. Then he was placed in that. And then on his chest was placed all the silken robes of Lord Jagannath, Mahaprasadam. So many things were placed. And Lord Chaitanya personally started putting sand. He personally did it. And then they built a fence around. Then they made a platform. And then Lord Chaitanya went on dancing round and round and round that. He never stopped kirtan and dancing around. How excited he must have been. For all of you who have gone to that Haridas Thakur Samadhi very close to ISKCON Center, you'll see how amazing. That's the place this has happened. He danced round and round. So absorbed he was in his devotee, Haridas Thakur, and the holy name. He made it a big festival. And after that, Hari Bola, Bole Gaurangarai, Apani Sri Haste Vahe Dilatan Dagai. He just kept on saying, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. He was in ecstasy. They all started, putting water, putting the sand on top of this thing, and everybody was ecstatic. And then after circumambulating, he went into the sea and took a bath. Then he started joking and laughing like nothing. He was playing around with all the devotees. And for common people, they'll be wonder, what is this? Somebody has passed away and you're joking, laughing, sannyasi? That's what they would have asked. But Lord Chaitanya did this amazing activity. And then everybody, he went back and he begged from all the places, give me prasadam, Mahaprasadam, I want to offer it because this is a wonderful day, the disappearance day of Haridas Thakur. Sarup Damodar told him, please, you go and rest. I will do the needful. You must be very tired. He was so excited, dancing, chanting, and going now and begging. Then Lord Chaitanya made everybody sit down when the prasadam came. And it's mentioned that he, Mahaprabhu Shri Haste, Alpanai Aise, Eka Pate, Pancha Janara Bhakshe Pariveshe. That Lord Chaitanya's serving was so generous that on each plate, he put enough for 5 people to eat. If Lord Chaitanya serves, he serves, it doesn't say, is it enough for you? A very cultured way, we serve little bit and all that. Lord Chaitanya just scooped and served. Come on, eat the prasadam. He gave so much. And in this way, he drowned everybody in prasadam, made everybody chant. So many things he did personally. He personally gave audience to Haridas Thakur. He personally agreed, okay, exactly like what you want, you can leave the body. And he personally dug the grave and whatever we want to call it, the samadhi, and put Haridas Thakur inside, personally washed his feet, put Haridas Thakur inside the samadhi, personally filled it with sand, personally did Harinam Sankirtan, personally served prasadam. Rarely does the Lord do such things. Rarely does the Lord. He must be in ecstasy. So the Haridas Thakur's passing away, I have crunched it because we have very less time. It's such a beautiful event. Such a wonderful event. We can go on speaking about it in every aspect of it. Today is also Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disappearance day. I'm sorry, appearance or disappearance? It's appearance day. Am I right? Yeah. It's appearance day, and yesterday was Vamana Dwadashi, is a series of festivals coming together. And I had the opportunity today by your association to recollect Haridas Thakur and Lord Chaitanya's pastime. And I feel very energized being in all of your presence. Hearing the Chaitanya Charitamrita and being with devotees, recollecting the pastimes of the Lord. What a wonderful thing Prabhupada has done. In his 125 years, it just an amazing service to humanity. Nobody can ever overtake this. Nobody can do better. Giving us Chaitanya Charitamrita, so sweet, and giving us the holy name, giving us association, giving us his books. What an amazing service to humanity. So we are very, very grateful to Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We are very, very grateful to his wonderful followers who are perpetuating and perpetrating this great legacy. We are very, very grateful to all of you who are also practicing it and speaking it to others and bringing them into Krishna consciousness. And we are very grateful to Lord Chaitanya, Krishna himself, for giving us this, although we may be least qualified to get it. So I have been told that I should finish by 8:45 and give room for questions and all that. So I'll stop here a little later because I started a little late also. So I'll stop here. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them for you, although I may not be expert at that. Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. Chapandi. Because wherever I go in the world, in the US or anywhere, it is like Telugu Walis everywhere. Everywhere I see Telugu people. Every time some program is arranged, Maharaj, I am from Kakinada. Maharaj, I am from Tirupati. I am from Guntur. I am from Nellore. I am from this place. I am from that place. So I used to tell them, Ito Telugu, Ato Telugu, Yato Ami, Tato Telugu. Wherever I go. Right. Yeah. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Muted. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, can I go and ask the question?
Please.
Dhanotna Maharaj. Very nice class, Mataji and Maharaj. And we are so fortunate that we have that association of such a exalted devotees. Maharaj, my question is that when Brahma knows that Krishna is Swam Bhagwan, so is that Krishna's Lila that Brahma did that the activity?
That's also mentioned. That's also mentioned in the Bhagavatam. It is occurring because of the internal energy of the Lord. You see in that realization of Balarama, you will see that he understands it is the internal energy of Krishna working out these things. So Prabhupada also says that, but it's internal energy and it is working. However, also there is manifest pastime of the Lord. That's also happening. We have to know that whenever the Lord does something, it's multifaceted, multitasking. We use the word multitasking. It's multifaceted, multitasking, and achieves many different things, both internally for him and externally for us. So we get to unravel only the external stuff. But the lots of things are going on with the internal energy of the Lord also. And some of it, we can get a whiff of it because mostly we won't understand it very well in the conditioned state. So we may very quickly even misunderstand it. So therefore, it's mentioned there that the internal energy of the Lord is operating, and that's why it's called Brahma Vimohana Lila. It's not just ordinary moha, Vimohana. Why it's called Vimohana is because it's transcendental moha. It's induced by the Lord. It's not ordinary moha. So this does not mean that other things are not true. Brahma is a very, very, very greatly exalted devotee. And to teach the world something, Krishna sometimes puts him into illusion and through him teaches us something. So, sometimes, we may not be so perfect, but our imperfection can be used by somebody higher to us to teach the world, see, don't be imperfect like this. And in that, you take the privilege of using the person to demonstrate something, especially because he's very mature and he understands. So these are all the things I understand, that Krishna utilizes Brahma and his situation to explain to the world what is pure devotional service. Because in answer to Prabhupada has asked a question by a devotee, Brahma is a pure devotee. Why is it that he went behind his daughter Saraswati Vak? It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Then Prabhupada immediately said, Brahma is a great devotee, and stopped. He just used the word, Brahma is a great devotee. Full stop. Yeah, so we have to know these subtle nuances, and we should not make a mistake. We should not commit aparadh, but we should keep it at that without speculating too much. At the right time, we will be able to adjust these things together. Everything will not be black and white and fitting into our conditioned education and experience we have in this world. There are many things that are gray, right? It won't fix into, you guys are all IT guys, you said, so you all deal with binaries, 1 and 0. Everything is not a binary. According to Lord Chaitanya's philosophy, there is also a gray area. It's not only black and white. It's not 1 and 0 alone. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for such an amazing class. Actually, Maharaj, we in our satsang, Maharaj, here in Gachibowli, only one small unique thing that we have is we have classes like as long as 3 hours, 3.5 hours. You know, like this kind of is the kind
then
of the
you told me
shortest
45 minutes only.
No. You can continue as long, because actually, you know, we start the Bhagavatam class at 7:15, but Your Holiness, you know, you're available at 8 o'clock. So you came here, and we can go on. You know, there's nothing more important than Krishna Katha. There's nothing more nectarian.
I like this is the real IT.
Yes,
Krishna information is the real information.
and getting association of Your Holiness is so rare. I mean, Maharaj, we are deserted here, you know, at least because of Zoom and
don't
Corona.
tell me that. You have a lot of association. You are in Hyderabad, a major city in India, and lots of people, you know, whiz past, and you can get all their association. And now online, you can also tap on many people.
Yeah, this is the only hope, Maharaj, that Maharaj. So I have one question and one request, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Question is, Maharaj, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. I heard this pastime long time back. I don't remember from which Maharaj I heard. He said that was changed because when some Smartha Brahmanas came and told that this mantra cannot be given to everybody, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just reversed it, saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Whereas the Vedic mantra was Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna. So you can correct me if my understanding is wrong there, Maharaj. And the question that I had is, Haridas Thakur, appeared, is said 55 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, but he also had the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu much before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, like you said, the rewind aspect. Was it then that Haridas Thakur was given this mantra, which actually got revealed after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came? Just to understand, Maharaj.
Well, I think you're asking more specifically the question that in the Vedas, it is mentioned Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Yes, Maharaj.
And Lord Chaitanya has made it Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. What I hear to add on to what you said is that a Vedic mantra cannot be chanted by everybody. Women, Shudras, fallen Brahmanas, and all that's mentioned. Stri Shudra Dvijabandhunam na Shuti Gochara. That they should not chant the Vedic this thing. It's the Vedic principle. But Lord Chaitanya made it Avedic by twisting it this way. So it's no more Vedic. And then he gave it out to everybody else. Vedaisya sarver ahameva vedyah vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. Krishna is telling that in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And he is the writer, he is the knower, he is the compiler, he says, so therefore he can change it. He changed it and he gave it to everybody, and so everybody chant. Stri, Shudra, Dvija, Bandhu, animals, plants, trees, everybody can chant. He gave it to everybody because he is the authority. And that's what I heard from my spiritual master also. That is what seems to be most plausible. Now, your question to go further is, that happened only when Lord Chaitanya came. What happened before that was Haridas Thakur chanting Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. And then after Lord Chaitanya came, he switched to that? No. What I know, and throughout the scripture it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, that it says that Haridas Thakur was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare only. And maybe the theory that you are saying that when he saw Lord Chaitanya much ahead, At that time itself, the Lord gave him, this is the holy name. Quite possible. But I have not seen any Vedic or scriptural reference to that. That I cannot say without authentically, knowing. Maybe that's a good point to research. That what mantra did Lord Chaitanya, or what mantra did Haridas Thakur chant before Lord Chaitanya appeared?
I mean, actually, it's not of that importance, Maharaj, because we already have the mantra. Just, when someone asks this kind of question, especially with these IT brains, kind of going back and past and say, okay, what was it? So just to know.
You should happily give an IT answer. That's it.
And Maharaj, the request I had is, we all are in this group, we are trying our best to distribute Srimad Bhagavatams. Last few days has been like day and night calling everyone. So if you can please encourage us with few words of why we should and how we should and how much we should distribute Bhagavatams.
Well, why you should? You are all followers of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's instructions, and he has said so, therefore you should. Very simple questions to simple answers. Why we should, and then you said how we should. You should simply take it and go and give it to the next person whom you know. There's nothing great science. It's not a rocket science to call up the people and say, Yamandi, Bagunara, please take a Bhagavatam certainty, Bhadrapurnima Vasundhi, and you say that and you say the needful and sell it. What is there? It's actually going on by its own value and credit and this thing that it has. It's not because you're selling it, it is actually going. Krishna has already planned it, that so-and-so will receive it. Do you want to be the instrument? Do you want to be the postman, the courier man for taking it across? That's all our role is. Krishna is engineering it. He knows who is supposed to receive it, and it's all there with you, and we need to deliver it. So, nimittamatram bhavasavya sachin. Krishna told Arjuna also, simply become an instrument here. Don't confuse yourself too many. Don't ask so many questions here. Bhagavad Gita itself is not required. Nimittamatram, why don't you finish it off? But still he spoke. But still, because we have this thing, we have got a whole philosophy why we should do, how we should do. Prabhupada said, do as I do. I've shown you. Prabhupada lived off with his Bhagavatam sets in New York in 1966. He gave it to all the bookshops. He was alone. He had no money. And the Bhagavatam was sold. And every day he would collect it from the bookshops, buy his groceries and vegetables, and then cook, and then started the Hare Krishna movement. The Bhagavatam is what went to the Western world, Prabhupada replied. Here in Cochin, I want to give you a brief history. I am also very actively involved in the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. I take great pleasure in printing Prabhupada's books in the Malayalam language. So in 2015 was 50 years, of ISKCON's this thing, and Prabhupada came to Cochin in the Jaladuta for 2 days. So we decided to offer on that 50 years, the Bhagavatam printed and published. We started working in 2000, long back itself. And 2010, we increased the pace. All the translation, this, that, everything, and we pushed it through. And we brought it to a close and we offered it on that. Many, many things happened. And we did not have money and nobody gave us money. Even other BBT branches who were supposed to, they did not do it. And something amazing happened. I did a pre-publication offer. Somebody told me in Kerala, do pre-pub and you may get some money and with that you can print. So I went around the Gulf area where all the Malayalis are there and all that and told them, listen, why don't you buy some sets from me in advance? I 100% will give you a very good set. I was begging almost. I was very much interested in, so I went around and they all said, yeah, it doesn't matter, we can give you, because I said, I'm not asking a donation. Would you not like to take Prabhupada's Bhagavatam? You must take. Prabhupada said, I want every gentleman to have a Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Srimad Bhagavatam in the house. This is a quote you can use. And therefore, they all took one each. And they, I take 150 sets, somebody took 200 sets, this yatra took and All of a sudden, I found I had sold 1,000 sets even before it was printed, and I got the money.
Haribol, Haribol, Haribol.
I was sitting and thinking one day, you know what you have done? You got all the money, sold all the books, got all the money, but it is not yet printed. This is amazing. This is amazing. I got up and I went to Prabhupada and I was almost crying. And then I know that it is your, when I told this to Giriraj Swami in the airport, I met him, few years back. I mean, before the lockdown, I should say. And then we were in Calcutta airport or Bombay airport, I think. Yeah, Bombay airport. And then he listened to me for a full 5 minutes and said, you know what? If Prabhupada hears this, he will shed tears. And he hugged me. Suddenly, all of a sudden, he hugged me on the... I never knew. So it is amazing that if you want to do it, Prabhupada will enable it. And then after it is done, you will feel, my gosh, Prabhupada worked through me. And that experience is even greater than selling the Bhagavatam or distributing the Bhagavatam. I promise you, you will enjoy it. So go ahead, make a full list, just like you do in your IT, write a full thing step by step, the whole algorithm on how I shall get this fellow to take the Bhagavatam, what all I should say, write it down, put it down, and I think it will work like nothing for you. You will be able to distribute huge number of Bhagavatams. You must. What do you say? Yes or no? All of you say Haribol and raise your hands if you think it is the right thing to do.
Haribol, Haribol.
Yeah. So all of you raise hands have committed now. You have to distribute minimum 10 sets each.
Jai.
Haribol.
I told my Bhakti Vaibhav students last year that by the next Bhadra Purnima, which is 1 year, you should sell at least 10 sets each. So I got 22, 23 people or something like that in the Bhakti Vaibhav session. So I'll be doing 220 sets automatically this Bhadrapur. Yeah, so it's exciting. Please go ahead and distribute this knowledge. Don't think it's just a book. There is absolute truth there. It is not just black and white print on paper and bound nicely or something. It's not paper. It's not just a book like many other books. It's Krishna himself there inside the Bhagavatam. And you're sending Krishna into that house. And it's no ordinary activity. Krishna is watching you. Lord Chaitanya is watching you. Everybody in the parampara is watching you when you do that. Okay? And you'll get all of their mercy.
Thank you, Maharaj. And I'm very excited to tell you that yesterday night we just couriered one set to Kerala. One friend in Kerala, right where you are.
Address END. We will do the next portion of it. We will get him.
Yes. I will share. His name is Girish, and he is settled in Kerala. So he told, can you send it to Kerala? I said, yes, it's couriered already.
Okay, great.
So happy, Maharaj.
He's a Malayali.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. He was my neighbor 6 years back. I called him after 6 years and I told, how are you? Today Bhadra Purnima is coming. Would you like to take a Bhagavatam? Often I speak like 2 minutes before I tell, would you take? I just third sentence I told, would you take? He said, yes, please send it to Kerala. I'm very eager to read it. Wow.
Wonderful. See, that is proof. If each one of you do this to 10 people, you will distribute more than 10.
Yes.
It will have a ripple effect.
I think with your blessings, Maharaj, and the motivation that you have given, I'm sure every one of you are here. 64 into 10 is 640. Is what you can expect now.
Wonderful.
Haribol.
Wonderful figure. Actually, we are publishing the Chaitanya Charitamrita in Malayalam language and offering it in 125 years to Prabhupada. It will be released now in October 17th. The governor of Kerala most probably will do that. And we have already in a pre-publication booked already 650 sets. Chaitanya Charitamrita already sold. I'm hoping to do 1,000.
Wonderful.
If you have any Malayalis there, please ask them to go to bbtkerala.com and book their set.
Yes,
I'll put it on your account.
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, definitely. This is such a blessing, Maharaj, that in all languages Bhagavatam is going. And I don't know how to read Malayalam, but I like the way the vocabulary is written. It's like a dancing word.
Yeah. So many people they say it looks like jangri and jalebi.
Yeah. So the whole Bhagavatam written that way, it's so amazing to see. Thank you. Great.
Right. So thank you very much. I think I'll have to go because some other session is also waiting me, some meetings. So very nice meeting all of you, Andy. I'm reminded of Gongura. So much I'm reminded of Gongura. It's my favorite.
Maharaj, I request Maharaj to come to Hyderabad once and bless all of us. Give your association. That's a request.
Only if you send me the menu, I'll think about it.
Yes,
yes, Maharaj.
Our group is known for huge menus, Maharaj.
Talk the right things, then I will come. Don't say give class and all that. Talk about all this menu, you see, I will come. That's the real underlying principle.
Maharaj, we would be blessed, if on a timely basis. I'll try to approach you, Maharaj, once in few months, once in a quarter at least.
Yeah, I'll try my best because I'm actually a little overwhelmed with too many. We are building a huge temple here in Coimbatore. We have 11 acres inside the city. So the construction, went up and down in the lockdown. We are building 2 lakh square feet almost.
Oh,
we're having a big academy. We are having a huge temple, Kalyana Mandapam, there's everything. It's a big place. And here, the famous Isha Yoga, that Mr. Jaggi Vasudevan is there.
Yeah, Coimbatore.
So we are forced to do something. I was thinking, let's do a small one and enjoy. But all the devotees said that you can't do something small here. You got to do something really big. So I got stuck in the big stuff. So I am not a great money collector and all that. I'm mostly a preacher. So I am going through ups and downs and lots of other problems and everything together. So it may be a little challenging for me, but I hope this is finished fast. And I love to come there and dance and chant with all of you and eat all the pura and the pappu.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, Maharaj. His Holiness Bhakti Vinod Swami Maharaj ki
Jai. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Jai, Hare Krishna, Projan Mataji's.